Panther family, what is going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Iowa State podcast. I'm your host, Mac, and boy, am I excited to have the guest on that I do today. My guest is a starting quarterback from the football team, Christian Veilleux. Christian is an incredibly talented player and looking to lead our Panthers to victory this weekend over our rivals. I know I just thanked you off air, but I want to thank you again real quick for giving me some time today, Christian. I won't waste too much more of it. We will go ahead and get into it. So yeah, man, this first question, we'll go down the timeline a little bit with yourself here. In high school, you played for different schools pretty much every year. You didn't play in 2020 because of the COVID year. But you
hmm
started in Ottawa, and you ended in Maryland. I can imagine this had to be pretty challenging at that age. So how challenging was this for you to be moving around so much at a young age like that?
Yeah, definitely challenging, but I think the best part about it was that I was looking forward to it. I was kind of optimistic, kind of excited to get on the journey and do it. So, I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of great people. I was blessed to stay with great families in Buffalo and Maryland. And I think just the relationships, the people that I met, um, it was so fun. And it was definitely hard moving away from home. Like I was 16. Me and my little brother super close, and it was kind of tough, I think, on both of us to like get separated at that age. But I was chasing my dreams. This is what I wanted to do. So it was like full steam ahead. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. No, I hear you, man. I hear you. Yeah, me and my brother are pretty close to only 2 years apart. So, I can only imagine if we had to be separated at that age, we probably wouldn't have been big fans of it either. So,
It's tough.
yeah, yeah. Um, how did this time mold you as the man and player you are today, though? Because, like you said, you were kind of open-minded about it, and I, can imagine, it had to kind of shape you a little bit.
Kind of helped me like mature a little faster. You know what I mean? Like just being away from home, not having to or not having the option of depending on your parents in certain situations. I think it really made me wake up like, hey, you can't be making bad decisions because you're in a whole different country on a student visa. Like you can get like shit back home if you really mess up, that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So I really like had to keep my head straight and be smart with what I was doing and just, realize what my priorities were and really apply myself to those, whether that was school, football, just stuff like that.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Wow, I honestly never even thought about that. I was a shithead teenager too, man. So getting in trouble was something, we were all worried about, but can't even imagine being
Right.
in a different country and having that in the back of your mind as well. So yeah, man, that's pretty crazy. Um, cool, 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 cool. We will head down the timeline a little bit. You were a consensus top 20 quarterback coming out of high school and ultimately decided to go to Penn State. I can imagine there was a lot of attention and most likely pressure on your decision as well. So, how was that experience, and what do you remember most about it?
Yeah, I mean, getting recruited out of high school by Penn State and that whole staff, Coach Franklin, I mean, if I had to go back, I'd still make the same decision. At the time, it was the right thing to do for me. It was the right move. It didn't really work out how I wanted it to, but I think in my time at Penn State, I kind of learned what not to do and what I needed to do. I wasn't very locked in. I was immature at the time. I kind of like got to college and, I was like, all right, like I got here. Like all throughout, growing up playing ball in Canada, my whole goal was to like go D1, go D1. And then I got there and I was kind of like, started enjoying just life, hanging out with the guys, going out, doing, stupid stuff. So I didn't really apply myself. Like I wasn't watching film like I am now. I wasn't studying the playbook like I am now. I wasn't, focused on ball like I am now. And I think that's what I learned is like, I came down all this way not to do all this, extracurricular stuff. I came down here to chase a dream, play football, and like I mean, that's what I'm gonna have to do. So I think when I left Penn State is, I kind of left with those lessons, and I'm super grateful for my time at Penn State. I mean, I still talk to my roommates, still super close with them. I mean, all the guys on the team I still know and still, have some type of communication with them. So I really do miss that place, miss those guys, but it just didn't work out for me, and I think I blame myself a lot for that. So.
Yeah, hey, no, man, that's part of life. You nailed it on the head, man. It's sometimes you can get a little distracted. It happens to
Right.
all of us. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
It's a part of growing as a person. So that's awesome to
Exactly.
hear, man. I love it. I love it. Cool. So after 2 years at Penn State, you headed southwest a little bit to Pittsburgh for a season. Now you're finding yourself in Atlanta. That makes you a pretty well-traveled man. You know, you've been you've been
Right.
been around the map. So I gotta ask, man. You're probably one of the only people I've had on this show that has been around, so many different areas of the country like this. So what do you think you've learned most from living in all of these different, areas with their cultures and subcultures and, environments and, weather and all these different, variables. So what's it been like?
Yeah, I mean, God, I mean, at the end of the day, like you can either make a place out to be what you want it to be, or it can just be the same as every other place. And for me, I just feel like every spot has been the same because I live the same life. You know what I mean? Like I'm a football player and I'm a student athlete. So I either wake up in the morning and go lift and go to practice and then have class, or I wake up and I have an off day and I just stay in the house and chill and just recover and do all that. So for me, it's like, little spots have their things here and there. Like I'm in Atlanta now, so like winter tires not having to worry about that this year. But that my whole life that's been a big thing coming around this time of year, you know what I mean? So coming to Atlanta, the weather was a big shock. I mean, during camp, pads on, it's probably 105, 110 on that turf. It was a little bit of a shocker at first. I mean, it was tough, but you kind of like get to know each place and where you're at. I mean, I love Atlanta so far. I think it's just a great city. I could definitely see myself living here beyond just college, and I really do enjoy the city. I think it's a good vibe. So, but every place you go to, you learn little things, and then you realize that in certain places you need things that you don't need in other places. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it, man. No, it sounds like you really have, man. You kind of approach it the best way you can. You take a little bit from each place, and that's kind of how it goes. So, not as much as all over the map, but I've lived in, 20 different towns or cities in my life, and pretty much all in the southeast. But you get to learn a lot when you move
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's cool. Sweet. So now moving on, like you said, you are in Atlanta and you now join a Georgia State program that, even if it is positive, it's undoubtedly a transition year. You got a new staff and a new starting quarterback after Darren Granger was there for 3 seasons. So, just curious, what ultimately made you decide to come down south and play for Coach McGee, and what were some of the deciding factors behind that?
Yeah, it was just the right fit. Being in the portal, I was really looking at a couple of different options, but it came down to Georgia State and another program, and I felt like Georgia State just offered me the best opportunity in terms of, playing football and then just the school aspect. I'm currently studying commercial real estate here at Georgia State, and it's one of the best programs in the country, and I think I'm super fortunate to, be on scholarship and be able to be in that program. Not a lot of people, straight out of college go into that program. There's a lot of older people and people that have already been in the professional world. So I think that combination of, sports and academics was really like it all came together. And I was like, yeah, this is really smart. Like I can go play ball, do what I love, and come out with a great degree from a great institution and really set myself up for the future. So when it came down to it, I mean, Coach McGee, Coach Cheney, and Coach Williams, they were really like the three guys that I felt, super comfortable with. Like I could really see myself enjoying my time here with those coaches, throughout, we go back to one of your previous questions, like all the spots that I've been to, I've kind of learned that, people kind of make or break your situation because at the end of the day, you're a young kid and these coaches have a lot of control over your lives. And I felt like here, I knew Coach Cheney from getting recruited in high school. I liked his personality, just how he handles himself. And then Ryan is a younger coach, knows the position because he played it. And then Coach McGee, just talking to him, I really got to know him well and understand what he was about. So, it just felt right. It just felt right. As soon as I visited, I kind of knew like this was going to be it for me. So didn't take long for me to make that decision.
Love it, man. I love it. That's a great answer. Yeah, no, I love that you found yourself a nice little situation even outside of the football field here at Georgia State. That's great to hear, man. And
Yeah.
I haven't met Cheney personally yet, but every time I've gone to practice to cover it for media, you can hear the guy's voice from the parking lot. So yeah,
Yep,
he's
absolutely. You
he's
can.
uh he's a character. Um, that's awesome. That's awesome. Sweet. So yeah, speaking of, practice, these hot practices that you had to kind of adjust to while you were down here, you did have a quarterback competition this fall camp with fellow quarterback Zach Gibson. And you ultimately prevailed as a starter. So just curious, what did this honor mean to you when Coach McGee gave you the nod? When he whether it was the phone call or the meeting or the text, whatever it was, what was that feeling when he told you, "Hey man, you're gonna be the starter?"
I mean, it felt great. It was the first time in my collegiate career where, before the season, I'm given the honors of being the starter and kind of handed the keys to the whole offense, and some would even say the team. So to me, it was, I was super excited. I mean, it's what I came here to do. It's what I set out to do when I first came here. I knew it wasn't going to be guaranteed or just given to me. I had to work for it. So seeing that work pay off was really nice. And Zach's a great guy, great teammate, great competitor. We have a blast here. I think this is one of my favorite quarterback rooms I've been a part of. The guys we're just so funny all together, and we really just mesh well when we're all together. So, I really appreciate Zach and what he brings to the table. I know it wasn't easy for him, just him being in his last year, but I mean, he's been great about it. He's a great help to me. He's a great resource to me. So, I wouldn't want it any other way.
Oh yeah, man. No, that's awesome. You saying Zach's a good teammate. I have noticed in all three games, whenever you make a good throw or a touchdown pass or whatever, the first guy on the sideline to start, cheering or lose his mind or to greet you when you get to the sideline, it seems to be always Zach, man. So
Yeah.
that's awesome to see how good of a teammate he is like that. And my next question was going to be, how do you think you and Zach kind of handled the competition and the decision of you being the starter? But it seems like you kind of answered it of that, like, yeah, hey man, we handled it well. It was
Yeah.
something where if he was going to be the starter, I was going to be supportive, and vice versa. So that's good to hear, man. That's good to hear. Because I mean, hey, God forbid, you get injured for a week and Zach does have to have a spot start or something,
It's
so
football, man. You never know what's going to happen.
exactly. And I promise listeners, I don't think I just jinxed us. I hope not, at least. Um,
One would at
awesome.
that.
Awesome. All right, so moving on a little bit now. Now we'll get into this season. A little under 2 weeks ago, you led the Panthers to a victory over an SEC school at Center Park Stadium and played arguably your best game in your collegiate career. So I got to hear, man, walk us through that day, the pregame, halftime, postgame. What did it feel like?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all knew in the back of our minds it was a big game for us, but I think we all attacked it like it was just another game, the faceless opponent. Our process is going to determine how we win or lose this game. And, I felt like the energy was like really high pregame. I kind of felt like the team had an edge to himself. I was really like excited to get on the field just the way the guys were acting pregame too. I think we warmed up great and just like being with the team in the locker room before we went out for kickoff, like I mean the energy was super high. So it was great. And to me it's just about having the same process every single game. So I didn't do nothing different. I just did what I usually do, review my scripts and call sheets, watch a little bit more film before we get out there. So I think it just all came together. We all came to play. Everybody did their job, did their part, and that's what happens when you play team football. You go out and you win big time games, and that's what we did. So I'm just happy that we got to bring a victory like that to Georgia State and to the fans, the students. I know the guys were super excited, the coaches were excited. So it just felt good to see our hard work pay off, and we're just trying to repeat it next week. So that's all it is.
Yeah, man. No, I mean, this is a team that I'm sure some of you guys were watching last week, took the number 17 team in the nation to double overtime and almost
That's right.
won. So
Yep.
Vandy's no joke. I know people like to think that, they're not a very serious program, but I mean, they're the real deal this year. So beating Vandy, man, that's I don't know. That was a huge moment, like you said, for the entire program, the fan base, just everyone involved. So
Yep.
that's awesome. So how do you guys think you can use it as momentum for the rest of the season?
Well, I think we just got to build on our performance. I mean, we played well, and then I think that just sets the tone for the expectation for the rest of the season of how we should play. We've all seen how guys can make plays. We've all seen what guys can do in clutch moments, and now we've kind of set the standard for what we expect out of each other and ourselves. And we just gotta carry that momentum. And I think it's also got to do with mindset and mentality. We can't go to the mindset that, hey, we just beat Vanderbilt, we're a big time team. It's not about that. It's about, hey, like we got Georgia Southern this week. We got to go out and beat Georgia Southern because they're going to play hard. They're going to give us one of the best games of the year. They're a great team. So we just got to come ready, come prepared, and if we do what we have to do, I think we'll come out on the right end of it.
I love it. I love it. No, man, that's what you just said. A perfect segue into my next question. Got two more questions for you here too, so we'll get you out of here on these last two.
Cool.
But yeah, man, speaking of what you just said, you guys will play in what will undoubtedly be one of the biggest games of the season. It's, our annual rivalry game against, Southern, now the Georgia Grown Bowl, or I think it's called the Georgia Grown Bowl. Um, so you're new to this, but certainly not to rivalries. So what is this week been like in terms of preparation?
And like I said earlier, like it's been the same as every other week. At the end of the day, you don't get caught up in like, hey, rivalry week and all this like extracurricular stuff. Like that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, your process is your process. Like whether I'm preparing for Southern or Chattanooga or Vanderbilt or Georgia Tech, like it's going to be the same every week because I feel like my process is, proven and I can trust my process. So, I'm not going to do nothing different. So to me, it's just, do what you've been doing, trust what you have done and trust your training and just go out there and play ball.
I love it, man. No, I mean, you said it best. Me as a fan slash media, we would almost like love to hear that, it is different. It's like, nah, you gotta approach it like it's the same every single day,
Exactly. Yeah.
So no, I love it, man. I love it. I think that's definitely the best. Curious as well, man. Do you have any, pregame or night before superstitions or anything like that that'll be coming out this week and got a lucky pair of socks or anything?
No, no, no superstitions. I kind of try and stay away from those. I just try and like always do the same thing, whether that's like what I do in the hotel or, what I do throughout the week. Like, I don't know, no superstitions to be honest. So
I gotcha. I gotcha. Definitely won't ask you to make any sort of prediction or anything like that. But if you guys are to win the game, what do you think you guys will need to do?
I think we just got to play hard. I think Southern's going to come in here and play just as hard as we will. I know last year they gave Georgia State a good game, and I think they're a great program. They played some good teams, so they kind of know how to defend good players and good plays and good offenses. So at the end of the day, if we just do our jobs, I think it'll take care of itself. I think we just need to have that mindset and mentality that last week is behind us and this week is what matters. We can't get caught up in the past. We gotta live in the moment, be where our feet are at, and we'll just go out there and do our thing.
I love it, man. Be where your feet are at. I love it. I love it. Awesome. Well, I will like I said, I'll get you out of here on this question, Christian. And this one is kind of just, foreshadowing for the rest of the season. Winning this game would be huge, but let's just kind of put that in the past. There are 8 more regular season games after this one, right? It's the season does not end after this weekend, win or lose, right? So how do you as one of the leaders keep everyone focused on the end goal for the entire season after such an emotional game like this? Like I said, win or lose, it's going to be emotional, right? So how do you keep everybody focused for the remaining of the season?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing we talk about here is like moments, taking everything moment to moment, whether that's the game, whether it's practice, whether it's treatment, whether it's class, whether it's your personal life, like just live moment to moment, be where your feet are at, and just, focus on the task at hand. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Like, hey, forward throughout the season, like always focus on what's going on right now. You can't dwell in the past and you can't, you know, be optimistic or down about the future. You just got to live right now. Like, I think that's what a lot of college players get caught up in is like, hey, we're going to do this in a couple weeks or damn, like 2 weeks ago we should have did that. Like, no, now is what matters. What can you do for me now? They say. So, I mean, I think that's the biggest message for our guys is just stay present, one moment at a time. And if there's a bad moment, there's always going to be a next moment. So,
I love it, man. I love it. I love it. Well, as promised, I will get you out of here on that one, Christian. Thank you so much for giving me some time this afternoon, though, man. It was an absolute pleasure to get to know you. Best of luck this weekend. I will see you down there at CPS. And yeah, man, we'll be in touch.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Of course, of course.